1.
Hi everybody. So I'm going to do a quick breakdown video of 7/8, 7/9, and 7/10 just to put a little bit of light on what we've been doing with decimals. I know that we left school at a funny time. We didn't really have much time to talk about decimals, so this is all very brand new. So we're going to just talk about it. 7/8, what they really wanted to show is they want to show how decimals can be compared to fractions, which also can be compared to money. And now they start off with 40 cents. If we're going to write 40 cents, it would look something like this. Now, if everybody thinks about how many cents are in a dollar, well, there are 100 cents in a dollar, which would make 40 over 100. Now, if we have 40 out of 100, that can also be written as 40 hundredths. Now, what also they're trying to show you, what if I had 4 out of 10 dimes? Well, how much is a dime worth? A dime is worth 10. Well, if I do 4 times 10, which would be, again, 40 cents. But anytime I do something to the top, I also have to do it to the bottom. And we know 10 times 10 is 100. We're right back to 40 hundredths. 40 hundredths is the same thing as 40 cents, or written with that decimal. Now, one thing that we need to know, boys and girls, is that the zeros after a whole number and with decimals, they don't matter. I could say 4 tenths, 40 hundredths, 400 thousandths, 4,000 ten thousandths. I can keep going, but these zeros here, they don't matter. All of these are going to be equivalent decimals, and I'll keep going to explain. Now, the next question that they're asking you to answer is 25 hundredths. Now, if we have 25 hundredths, that can be broken down and simplified. 25 hundredths can be written as a decimal that looks like this. But also we know, can we simplify 25 hundredths as a fraction as well? Think about it this way. What is this value usually worth with money? That's right, a quarter. Now, if we had 1/4, 1/4 is also worth 25 cents. So what we could do to simplify this fraction is we can simplify it down to 1/4 by simply dividing by 25. 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25 would be 4, simplifying it down to 1/4. Now you have one more question on 7-8. In 7-8 it says, what if you have 110 over 100? Now you have a fraction that's greater than 1. Just like if we would write this as a mixed number, we can also write those mixed numbers as a decimal. Now, we know that this number right here is going to be written in the hundredths. When we write a number in the hundredths, what you have to think about is if this is where the decimal is, we call this first place the tenths, and the next place we call that the hundredths. Okay, so now since this number is in the hundredths, I know that there is going to be a number in my hundredth place. Now, looking at this right here, how many times will 100 go into 110? At least one whole time. That's how we know that we're going to have one whole number in our fraction, or in our decimal answer. Our decimal answer is going to have one whole, but now what is left over? We still have this 10. Now what does 10 tenths look like? Exactly what it would look like here. We have 1 and 10 tenths. But, like I said, does this 0 matter? Not really. We could write this as 1 and 1/10 the same way we can write it as 1 and 10 hundredths. They are equal. They are exactly the same. Exactly like we had said. If we said that this is 1/10, well, 1/10, if we remember our dimes, what is 1 dime worth? 1 dime is worth 10 out of 100 cents. So that is what they're trying to talk about on 7-8. On 7-9, they're trying to compare a little bit more fractions to what it looks like as a decimal. So they give you something like this, a fraction bar right away. They break it off into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 parts. Now the first one they have is they have it scribbled off for 7/10. Now, when they have the fraction as 7/10, they're asking you for the decimal. Now, if I want to write this as a decimal, what I have to do is I have to think back to what do I have right here. Now, if my fraction is saying tenths, I know I'm going to write my decimal in the tenths place. 7/10 as a decimal will be written like this. Now, what is the difference between 7/10, or if I wrote it like this right here? See how the 7 is no longer in the tenths place? It's now in the hundredths place. So this would be read as 7/10. Tenths. Well, this would be written as 7/100ths. Now they go on in there and they have, you see here where they'll go on and they bring into the hundreds then. Once they have it into the hundreds, it's the same thing. See how in the answer for fraction number 2 they have 13 hundredths. Since they have that, they are going to the hundredth place when using a decimal. Same thing here. Let's say they have 5/10. Some of these answers they're going to require that you put a 0 in front of it. I don't ask that. The only thing that they're showing that is that there are no whole numbers. That is why the 0 is in front of the decimal. When we look at our homework for today, 7-10, they're going to ask you write the decimal that comes next. So we have 5 hundredths, 6 hundredths, 7 hundredths. Well, notice it's just like when we did our fraction line. We have to stay as consistent as can be. We have 8 hundredths, 9 hundredths, 10 hundredths, 11 hundredths. Now, could this one be written as a different way? 10 hundredths? Sure, it could. We could drop the 0 and we could make it 1/10. But just to show that these are coming together, we're going to follow the suit and show it as 10 hundredths. Since these were written in hundredths, we'll write this one as 100. Coming up next, we have 26 hundredths, 27 hundredths, 28 hundredths. Now, this one's just like cents. If we have 28 cents, what would come next? Well, 29 cents, followed by 30 cents, and 31 and 32 cents. This is also said as 32 hundredths, 31 hundredths, 30 hundredths, and 29 hundredths. Now, as you work down the page, you're going to see that they have it in word form as well. We're all just practicing writing these decimals writing these fractions as decimals, Get used to using this decimal language. We're going to do a GIM kit later on today. We did one this morning that practices these. Please do your best to log on at 1 o'clock. I will give you the code on Teams, and let's do some more practicing. Hope the video helps. More to follow. Please ask your questions.